There is a trophy on my dad's mantelpiece that I never really understood. It is small and bronze, a little baseball player frozen mid-swing. It is not for winning a championship, my name is not even on it. For 20 years, it was just part of the furniture until one night over a steak dinner, my dad finally told me its story. The story of how my childhood hero tried to ruin my life before it had even started. Back when I was 9 years old, my entire world was the dusty diamond of the Community Baseball League. And the king of that world was Mr. Sterling, the athletic director. He was a god to us kids. He knew everyone's name, he would show up to games with free ice pops, and he had this booming, infectious laugh that made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. I idolized him. That year, I had a coach, a man named Miller, who was a little too intense. He had us running drills until we were sick and had a way of cutting you down with a single sharp comment that made you feel an inch tall. My dad, a quiet man who normally avoided conflict, saw it. He noticed the joy draining out of me and the other kids. So he did what a good father does. He scheduled a meeting with Mr. Sterling to voice his concerns, expecting the great man to sort it all out. They met in Sterling's office, a room I had only ever seen from the doorway, filled with plaques and the smell of old coffee and success. My dad calmly explained his worries about Coach Miller's methods. He was not looking to get anyone fired, he just wanted a conversation about the well-being of the kids. Mr. Sterling listened patiently, nodding, his face a mask of concern. And then, when my dad was finished, the mask dropped. Sterling leaned forward, his friendly smile gone, replaced by something cold and hard. He told my dad that our little league was very competitive. He said that a player's attitude and his family's attitude were big factors in things like playing time and future opportunities. He said it would be a real shame if my dad's complaints started to reflect poorly on my performance on the field, that I might find myself spending a lot more time on the bench if he did not learn to be a team player and drop the issue. My dad said he felt the air go out of the room. It was a threat, plain and simple, delivered by the man I had a signed photo of on my bedroom wall. He was using me, a 9-year-old kid, as a pawn to silence a legitimate concern. My father walked out of that office a different man. He never told me what was said, not then. All I knew was that he was quiet on the drive home, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. The next morning, he put on his only suit and drove downtown to the office of the regional sports commissioner, the man who was Mr. Sterling's boss and his boss's boss. He walked in without an appointment and told the receptionist he was not leaving until he was heard. They spent 2 hours in that office. My dad laid out everything, not just Coach Miller's aggressive style, but the veiled threats made by the beloved Mr. Sterling. He spoke about how a man in a position of trust was willing to sabotage a child's experience to avoid dealing with a problem. He was no longer just a concerned parent, he was a protector. I finished out the season. Nothing much seemed to change on the surface, but I did notice the commissioner started showing up to our games, just watching from his car. Then, at the end-of-year banquet, Mr. Sterling gave his big, charming speech, but he announced it would be his last. He and Coach Miller, he said, were moving on to pursue other opportunities. We all clapped, and I remember feeling genuinely sad. I even went up to him to say goodbye, and he knelt down, gave me that $1 million smile, and told me to keep swinging for the fences. He handed me that little bronze trophy, a personal gift, he said, for a player with a great attitude. My dad let me keep it. And as he finished his story all these years later, he reached across the table and pointed at the little statue on the mantle. He said the commissioner had launched a quiet but deep investigation. It turned out Mr. Sterling had a pattern of this behavior, using his charisma to charm parents while intimidating anyone who questioned his hand-picked coaches or his methods. My dad's complaint was just the one that finally broke the dam. That little trophy was not a gift. It was a pathetic piece of hush money from a guilty man, a last-ditch effort to keep his pristine image intact in the eyes of a child. And my father made me keep it all these years as a silent, constant reminder that the real heroes do not always have the loudest laugh or the biggest smile. Sometimes, they are just the ones who will wear their only suit to go to war for you.